We are going to prepare the Heddle Stick. Take the longer dowel, cut a piece of string about twice the length. Fold the string in half and stick a small zip tie through it and attach it to the Heddle Stick. It should look like this. You can also just tie a string instead of the zip tie. It just needs to be secure. Now for the other end. Tie a knot as shown and wrap another zip tie with the knot on the outside. It should look like this. We will tie the Heddle Stick to the loom using a couple of strings. We're also going to add a piece of 1.5-inch PVC pipe. First, tie a string to the metal rod. Pass the string through the pipe as shown, then tie the other end to the rod again. Make sure the pipe fits nicely between the Heddle Stick and the warp strings. You can also use an empty roll of paper towel or another round piece of wood. The key is to create some distance. The reason will become obvious shortly. At this point, I'm going to show you a video which you can find on my website showing you how to add a Heddle Stick. I'm using blue and white strings in the video to make it easy to follow. We are going to need a mechanism to help us with the intertwining of the warps and wefts. We will do this by using what's called a Heddle Stick, or as it's called in Farsi, a kuji. It will keep the warps separated so the wefts can pass through them. To show you exactly how it works, I'm going to use a loom I've set up for that purpose. Here I'm using 2 colors of warps to help demonstrate this principle. For this demonstration, the white warp will always be on the right and the blue warp will always be on the left. It is critical to ensure that all the right or white warps are on top of one shed stick, while all the left or blue warps are on top of the other. The Heddle Stick or kuji will help us keep the white and blue strings separated so that the wefts will pass over and under every other warp on each row, creating the intertwining effect which helps keep everything securely in place once we take it off the loom. Here the larger piece of wood is added as a spacer. The reason will be evident shortly. As you can see, a piece of string is passed behind each blue warp and tied to the Heddle Stick. Here is a back view so you can see exactly how it works. Wrapping around the blue warps to keep them separated. We're done once we've gone through all the blue warps. We will pull out the piece of wood, which as you can see has provided some extra space. The Heddle Stick is tied securely to the loom itself. This is how it works. As the shed stick is pulled down, it forces all the white or right warps to be pushed forward. As you can see, this creates a gap called the shed through which a weft can be passed over the blue and under the white warps. In contrast, when the shed stick is pushed upward, it allows the blue or left warps to come forward and creates another shed where the weft can pass under the blue warps and over the white warps. We will be working with the warp strings which are on top of the white string. I'm adding a piece of paper to avoid getting distracted or accidentally picking one from the back. Either roll up some string or use a good length piece as I'm doing here. Don't make the string too long, it gets messy and cumbersome. You can always add new pieces as you run out. First tie your string to the string on the Heddle stick with a couple of good knots. Now we'll take the string, go behind the first warp string, then we will pass it between the PVC pipe and the warp strings. Come from underneath and loop it twice to the string on the Heddle stick, which will keep it secure in place. We'll repeat the process with the second warp string. Make sure you're not skipping any warp strings as you go along. We will continue the process until we get every warp string. If you forget where you are, pull the ones you've already completed gently to the right. As you can see, it'll reveal exactly who's next. Once you've reached the end, secure the string with a few knots and cut the excess string. This is a good time to make sure we have gotten each and every warp string. I'm examining my work closely. As you can see, I missed one. If this happens to you, all you need to do is to take a string, tie it to the Heddle stick, go behind the warp, come down from underneath, and tie it again to the Heddle stick. Always remember, there's nothing you can do that can't be fixed. You can always start all over again if you need to. Once you're done, we can remove the PVC. Note as you pull out the pipe gently, it has left some space. You can use your hand or a ruler to straighten out all the strings. We now need to add some tension to the Heddle stick. Use a zip tie or another string to pull on Heddle stick as shown. Start slowly. You can always tighten more if you need to, especially if you use a zip tie. Pull the Heddle stick towards you and tighten the zip tie. Do a little on one side and then move to the other side until you have an even distance between the stick and the warp strings. We can now get rid of the white string. There needs to be even tension on the warp strings. You will learn how tight is enough for you as you get more experienced. You can tighten each side independently by turning the nuts on top clockwise. If you want to loosen the tension, you need to turn the nuts counterclockwise. As you pull on the strings, you should be able to pull approximately half an inch to 1 inch. There is another way which you can use to attach the warp strings to the Heddle stick. You will need 2 nails and a piece of wood. Nails should be at least 6 inches apart. Make a loop out of a string and tie a couple of knots. You will need to make as many as needed to cover all the warp strings. Now pick the first warp string and loop the string as shown. It will leave you a loop which you can pass the Heddle Stick through. You'll need to do that all the way across. Don't cut these off when you're done weaving. You can always reuse these strings on your next project. Good luck, and thank you for watching this video.